Whether it's all about concentration or aggressiveness, whether it's full of authority or totally desperate, the tackle is more than a technical gesture. It is the soul of football. If coaches and players are always forced to change their game, it is because there will always be men ready to do anything to prevent the magic from expressing themselves completely. The tackle is that decisive fraction of a second between a player who makes and a player who prevents from making. A fraction where everything or almost everything is meant a real physical and psychological battle. You must understand it. We will pay tribute today to the favorite gesture of your butcher, the tackle. This video is sponsored by Sorare, the best soccer fantasy game in the world. Tackling is like a duel in the Wild West, when two people want something badly, but it means having to outdo the other. The long-awaited duel becomes inevitable. The attacker has to do everything he can to confuse his opponent and advance with the ball. But on the other side of the field, there's a mind that's driven by the recovery of the ball, who will read his opponent's body language and footwork in order to put his studs on the ball, if possible without illegally destabilizing the person. The ways are various, but the goal is always the same: to make a big stop. One can go with elegance of a standing tackle while concentrating in sobriety. You can go with a physical sliding tackle, effective but risky in rainy weather, but also gestures capable of saving a whole nation, like Mascherano here in the World Cup semifinal. And then you can also use techniques that are a bit illegal, with tackles that look more like a chop shop than soccer. Attacks that can end careers, but we can also think of tackles on his line, which are worth as much as a goal, or to those totally intentional tackles, the famous tactical foul that is just there when there is no real choice left. In any case, these defensive gestures are just as fundamental and important as dribbling, passing, or shooting. As the legend Sir Alex Ferguson said, attacks make you win games. Defenses make you win titles. And if there is one country that has integrated these concepts of team defense, tackling, in short, the sense of sacrifice within its own culture, it is Italy. To understand this, let's go back in time, 60 years. It was here in Milan that the first tactic almost exclusively thought to prevent the other team from scoring, the catenaccio, meaning lock in Italian. This tactic, developed in the 60s, will profoundly change the way of approaching a soccer match. It must be said that the attack is the only philosophy of play that really exists at the time. The 7-3 victory of Real Madrid against Frankfurt in the 1960 C1 final is a good example. Those were the crazy years when the most forward-looking teams like Di Stefano's Real or Puskás Hungary reigned supreme, sending champagne football in the face of an approximate defense. But in this year, 1960, a tactical revolution will be born in the north of Italy, an international revolution. The man at the head of it all, the Franco-Argentinian coach Helenio Herrera. His best work? The great Inter of Milan. Herrera arrived from Barcelona with a reputation as an attacking coach, and now with Inter Milan, he had the firm intention of reigning over the boot and all of Europe. Inspired by teams of a lesser caliber who no longer hesitate to organize themselves defensively to counter the big boys. In particular, Nerio Rocca's Padua, who surprised everyone by finishing third in Serie A in 1958. Herrera will push even further the idea that tackles and other defensive interventions are the most important tasks on the field. Inter must become invincible at the back. Tactically, this translates into the appearance of the libero position, placed behind the line of defenders, a guarantor of the defensive strength of the team that locks any gaps opened by his partners. No more, not less. At Inter, this is the role of Armando Pichi, incisive, reading the game perfectly. He was the defensive compass of a team who will totally accept to defend, to tackle, to suffer, and to fight during the whole game. Solidarity, combativity, concentration are the key words. Attack the ball, Herrera loved to repeat, and once the leather between their feet, it does not think for a second and it plays vertical. Percussion. With Herrera, the rule is no more than 3 passes before shooting. In other words, if Inter had to defend perfectly, they also had to attack extremely fast, exploiting the gaps left by the opponent. But for this system of play to work, it was necessary that the team was infused with a soul. For this, Herrera was one of the first to take his role as a coach very seriously, a novelty in the field. There are 4 basic things that a coach must take care of: the physical preparation of his players, the technical progress, the morale. This last point requires psychology because it is necessary to know his players in their temperament and their reactions. Diets, 3 days of greening before each game, reinforced medical follow-up, frequent and intense training sessions. It is thanks to this almost military atmosphere that the former Barca coach manages to unite his group around his principles. An atmosphere perfect for the authoritarian character of Herrera, and a major advance in the professionalization of soccer. Ahead of their time, the Interistas will then impose their style with success. Between 1963 and 1966, Herrera won 2 Champions Cups, 3 Italian Championships, 2 Intercontinental Cups, but above all, he left an indelible mark on Italian soccer. The Italian teams will then begin to be inspired by this catenaccio, patient, counter-attacking, and terribly effective, until it became more than a system, a culture of defense and sacrifice. Italy, the AC Milan defender Cesare Maldini, who genetically transmitted to his son Paolo all his defensive passion. It was Claudio Gentile who suffocated Maradona to the point of exhaustion during a whole match. One of the most beautiful individual shots in history. The Pipi d'Oro could not do anything, and the photographers had a great time. Italy is also the rigor of a Giuseppe Bergomi, the leadership of a Franco Baresi, the elegance of an Alessandro Nesta, or the bestiality of Fabio Cannavaro. Equipped with real walls at the back, Italy has also been able to count on geniuses up front to perfectly embody the catenaccio that puts you to sleep and then stabs you on the counter. And the results are there. 2 World Cups won in 1982 and 2006, the second one by conceding only 2 goals. The Squadra Azzurra is ready to do anything to protect its cages and its colors. A mentality that seduces an Italian population proud as a peacock, who can totally identify with this solidarity, with this way of bending without breaking and without ever stopping to fight until the victory. The kind of team that it's better not to meet. The formidable striker Ruud van Nistelrooy, who has had to deal with a lot of Italian defenses in his career, is still marked by this.
Well, Italian defenses they're known for their defending, you know. Wow, it could be, they're horrible to play against, honestly. It's like they don't even want to go forward because it's a risk of scoring for the other team. It's like they all stay behind. It's like, wow, go forward, full backs, you know, try to score a goal. No, you can't score, that's the most important thing. So.
If today it is rather the goalkeepers who play as libero, the traces of catenaccio in football remain tenacious. Helenio Herrera and his successors have made defense a serious business. And if the tackle always delights us with its spectacular aspect, it is finally the fruit of all this collective work on the concentration and determination to have when we want to prevent the other from creating. Recently, Didier Deschamps' French team, or Diego Simon's Atletico Madrid, have proved that pragmatism and defensive culture are far from being outdated. And on the public side, there will always be fans ready to go crazy over a devastating tackle. To finish this video on the tackle, what better way to show you the best of the best? The best defensive performance in history. Let's go to the United States for the final of the 1994 World Cup between a radiant and offensive Brazil, led by the fantastic Romario, and an Italy, as usual, in lock mode, led by the pair of legendary central defenders of AC Milan, Paolo Maldini, Franco Baresi. For the stat, they played 129 games together at AC Milan and they conceded 23 goals. That's it. Nothing to add. And in the heat of Pasadena, the captain Baresi is about to perform the ultimate stopper skill in the World Cup final, please. Anticipation. Perfect double intervention. The guy clears everything. A decisive return, a life-saving tackle, always in control and reading the game. Another tackle that becomes a perfect pass. Nothing is left to the Brazilians. Another anticipation, and again, and again. And now look, once, twice? No, but it's too much there. Not a single space to squeeze into. A new, well-felt tackle. A not-so-simple clearance. A new double intervention of great class. And to finish it all off, an absolutely decisive last tackle. In short, the game of the perfect defender. A performance that becomes even more epic when in overtime, because yes, no one could open the score. Baresi starts to writhe on the ground in pain, taken by cramps that seem to be really bad. He even leaves the field on a stretcher in a bad state, before coming back onto the field to lead his team in the penalty shootout. And here we touch the top of the drama. Captain Baresi starts. Sends it far over. Later, Baggio also misses his penalty and admits defeat. Brazil is world champion. A cruel disillusion for the Squadra Azzurra. but a match that reminded everyone that the art of defending is never as beautiful as when it is practiced by an Italian. Today, if the tackle still attracts the evil eye of some footballers, it must be recognized that these duels between attacker and defender are the essence of a soccer match. The fans know it very well. They like to glorify the one who gives everything to protect their team, because the way you tackle says everything about your motivation to always win against the opponent. And that, believe me, is worth all the gold in the world to the fans. And if you want to make yourself some golden balls and win against your opponents, you'd better get the Sorare card of your favorite defender as soon as possible. Sorare is the game for soccer experts who like to scout, be the manager of their team, and win rewards every week in 5 versus 5 tournaments. Come and collect your favorite players and live your soccer games with more intensity. Sorare is the game within the game. Sign up for Sorare with the link in the description. After buying your first 5 cards, Megafoot offers you a 6th one for free.